Hello everybody, I want to welcome you to this year's Heritage Week and to use this opportunity to tell you about the Offaly Historical Society, or Offaly History as we like to call ourselves, which as you can see was founded in 1969 and we're now celebrating our 53rd year. We were originally founded back in 1938, but that society fell through during the war years due to lack of petrol for travel. Maybe that will hit us all again. And it wasn't resurrected after the war. So in any case, John Sweeney and Pa Martin, both Tullamore men, helped to found the society in Bulger's Hotel, Patrick Street, Tullamore, in May of 1969. Of course, there was the usual arguments about the name of the society, and eventually Offaly Historical Society was decided upon, and back in 92 we amended that to Archaeological as part of an amalgamation with the Tullamore and District Archaeological Society. So lots of things to know about Offaly. And first of all, to tell you that we're a non-profit community group and we have a membership that varies from 150 to 250 members, of whom 30 to 40 are life members. We provide services at Bury Quay, Tullamore, which is beside the former Tullamore Jew Centre, and we also have Offaly Archives at Axis Business Park, which we run in tandem with the Offaly County Council and Offaly County Library. Now our committee this year is set out there and Helen Bracken is our chair. What do we do? Well, we're about saving memories, we like to think, and ideas and traditions. And we're dedicated as a charity to preserving, protecting and understanding the history of our families, our workplaces and our communities. And we would like to think that we have a treasure trove here in Offaly History Centre and also in Offaly Archives to reflect on our heritage. In addition to that, we're very active online and we have over 7,000 members on Facebook, and we have quite a number of subscribers to our 2 blogs every week, and we have now reached over 50,000 since the beginning of 2022. Now, I mentioned we were founded initially in 1938 by James Rogers, who was a Sinn Féin solicitor up to the treaty, and well, even after that, but he supported the Free State government thereafter. And all went well from 38 until the war, and after that a Jesuit in the college in Rahan kept the flag flying for local history. That was Father Hurley, and he provided the bridge between the demise of the old society and the resurrection of the new one in 1969. Now we do annual outings during the summer months, and our very first one was the Clonmacnoise back in Andorra back in 1938. We do a lot of publications now, and the situation is much better than it was 25, 30 years ago. At that time, there were only, 30, maybe 50 years ago would be more like it. There were only 2 publications in print. I particularly remember a visit from a Christus Rex grouping, not many would know about that now, that held its annual meeting in Tullamore in 1966 or 7. And there were only 2 publications, one by Dr. Moran and the other by Father Hurley, to give to the visitors to town that year. Now we'd have well over 100 publications that we could rustle up for people, and that many of them are in our centre here. And in addition to that, we have an extensive library of over 13,000 volumes, some of which, maybe 500, are about Offaly. Now that's the society back in the mid-70s at Hollow House at Tinny Cross. The house is gone now, or almost gone. And some well-known people there in that picture. Father McGreevy from Mount Bolus was our secretary at that time. And there was lots of faces that some of you may know. Frank Meehan was there from Laois, and Mr. Deverill, the stone cutter from Spallinstown. Anyway, you may not know these people now, it's so long ago. So as I mentioned, we were a voluntary body, we're a registered charity. Our first publications were on tombstone readings, and then in the 1980s we got involved in youth unemployment by way of providing work for young people who were in need of work at the time and training. And we've continued to be involved with that since the 1980s. And today we employ about 19 people on our schemes, and mainly engaged in historical research work. Our centre initially, of course, was only opened. Our centre here in Bury Quay was only opened in 93, and prior to that we were in, when I say rented, it was probably free accommodation from D. Williams Limited at the corner of William Street, Columkill Street, in what was known as English's Restaurant. And I'm showing you a group of people there who were on the scheme at the time. And our main work was the transcribing and computerising of the old Church of Ireland and Catholic, Presbyterian, Methodist parish registers. And Father McGearty, who was home from Australia and working in Tullamore at the time, was instrumental in securing the provision of the parish registers so that we could do this work. He died early last year, but he was a very good supporter of the society. We were also up at Charleville Estate Office, and we were there for maybe 5 years, and that was courtesy of David Hutton Bury and Charleville Estate Company, who were very kind to us during that period. And here are some of our staff at that time, and you can see the transcription of the old registers and into computerised data. In connection with the indexing of the parish registers, we were founder members of the Irish Family History Society, and that's a meeting held in 1984 in English's Restaurant. Some of the great people in that were Naoise Cleary in the front row, extreme left but one, and our lifelong member and supporter Michael Egan, who died last year, and who has donated about 1,000 books to the Society's library. Out of the Family History Society, which is still going strong and has a number of journals, came the Irish Family History Foundation, and that is also continues to be active. In that picture you can see Laura Samuraku there with the striped tie, and also Michael Egan there in the back row. Lots of supporters of family history at the time, and still to the good. Now, as I said, we were founder members, and now we have posted much of our computerised data to Roots Ireland, where it's much easier to make it available to the public around the world who may be interested in their Laois and Offaly ancestors. Now, we moved to Bury Quay about 93, and we were engaged from 1991 to 93 in fundraising to buy that building, which you can see here at Bury Quay. You can see it was a wine warehouse, a wine and whiskey warehouse, beside the old bonded warehouse. And we improved that building with the help of government grants, and got involved in much more organised provision of services for local studies, such as a reading room and a lecture hall, which we'd never had before that, and the continued provision of our newsletter. And then later we produced a website which is ongoing and so very successful, and now provides a platform for all our services and more recently we used it to provide a Decade of Centenaries platform last year, which we're continuing to build on now by way of provision of more online articles on the site. We amalgamated with the local Archaeological Society in '92, and we had a library. We still have a library, but it's much bigger now. That was it back in the early 90s. And on the table there was the Nation newspaper with the 5 volumes, the original issue, which we still have in our collection and which we used recently to photograph some of the early poems of Fraser J. de Jean from Burr for a book we're doing by way of a collected issue of his poetry. And for a while we had the tourist office, and now that's in O'Connor Square, Tullamore, which is a good thing. And that's a summary now of our work there. We have about 150 local publications in our bookshop and over 400 online for sale, all history, over 7,000 friends on Facebook, and we've almost 400 blogs for people to look at and research. And indeed, you can add to it if you're interested in providing an article. We also have YouTube channel with up to 40 shows now, and we have recordings on SoundCloud. And here you can see Pádraig Siri engaged in photography, copying old documents and scanning them into our computers. The website is extremely important, and I give you a snapshot of it there as regards our shop, first of all, our family history services, our membership, and our weekly blog. And a summary of our family history services can be found on that page. And also then, of course, we have lectures. We were prevented from holding them for 2 years, and now we've come back to having them with the benefit of an online presence also. And for the last lecture, for example, we had upwards of 40 people in attendance and another 45 or 50 online. So it's a great opportunity for people overseas to access our talks and to become members and get value for their membership. We publish an annual journal since 2003, and here are samples. We have 11 issues now, and we're working on number 12. We also work with others such as Maynooth, Kieran Riley there, and a former chair of the council, and of course Amanda Pedlow, the heritage officer, at the launch of Maynooth History publications in 2012. The tours go very well, and this is a group in the 1990s visiting Durrow and Tahili, and another group then in 2014 with our late president at Kilroy's outside what's now going to be the new arts centre in Tullamore. In addition to that, we travel abroad occasionally, and last October, we went to Germany. And we're very fortunate to have Burr Castle in the area, and a few years ago we had a very fine tour from Lord and Lady Ross of Burr Castle and the grounds. Now, for about 20 years we were fortunate to have Tullamore Jew beside us, and it was a great boost to our centre and was very good for local studies, certainly in the first 10 years of its existence. But even after that, it was an excellent venue. Anyway, we regret they have moved back up to the distillery, and we look forward to the new owners providing an equally good service when they open up, which hopefully will be in 2022. I say all that because the story of our heritage and the story of distilling are inextricably linked in the Midlands because of the importance of Burr, Banagher, Tullamore, Kilbeggan to the whisky industry. And you don't need me to tell you about how Tullamore has used its heritage to promote the brand. So did Kilbeggan, and I suppose with all the distilleries now, there's possibilities for Durrow and for Banagher to re-establish their heritage traditions with the fine distilleries that they had in the 19th century. One of our big weaknesses in Offaly is that we don't have a museum, and but we would like to have a warehouse where we could collect suitable material, and we're working on that, but of course it's an expensive thing to do. And I'm just illustrating here some samples from our collection. The charitable token, about which there is a blog, and then Fred Eustace was a plumber in town and he was connected with the gas company, and we also have a blog on that. Now, the markets and fairs were tremendously important, and it's good to have photographs of them. We don't have enough, in fact, and we never have enough old photographs, so if you can help, please do. But this is the fair at Dangan in about 1960s. There you can see the old Williams wooden crates in the foreground and the sheep tied up there for sale. We have strong associations with some of the local bodies. One of them is the Tullamore Camera Club, who work with us from time to time and have their meetings in our building. Another group is the Lions Club, both in Tullamore especially, and then in Burr we work with another group on the provision of an article for their Burr Review each year. Summary of our collections, well, it's enormous really, and it grows all the time, but we have a very large photo collection, and we have all the local newspapers online, and we also have a lot of hard copy newspapers between ourselves and the county library, and these are in Offaly archives. And then as I said, we have about 400 small museum items. To promote ourselves and the work we do, we attend various events such as the National Ploughing a few years ago. And indeed, all our staff are ambassadors for the work we do. And that picture was taken at the retirement of John Carney in 2017. And we now have a new manager here, Breda Kenny, who was appointed in 2020. A big event in 2019 was the signing of a contract for the provision of the new archive. It was somewhat awesome in that we had to find 750,000 in all to do it, but I'm glad to say with the support of so many people and agencies, not least Offaly Local Development Company and Offaly County Council and the Heritage Council, we were able to succeed in that project, and the archive is now up and running and is situated at Access Business Park. This was the signing of the contract, and here is the centre just when it was reaching completion. And very soon after that, people began to provide new materials for conservation and storing in the archive. And that is a gentleman from the north of Ireland presenting material about the Mitchell family from Burr. And on the right there is our archivist, Lisa Shorthall, who was at the time giving a lecture in our centre. The building now houses the Offaly County Library collection in one section of the building, and it houses the Offaly Historical Societies in another, all into a very high standard with a lot of fire safety and management of the service. It's a very nice building in which to work, and we have some paintings there also. That one on the left is we're calling the Rathrobin House, and also the main street in Burr. While the picture on the right shows the processing room after a delivery of a large collection. We take in leases and legal documents, rentals, letters, photographs. So always come and see us if you have something interesting that you feel should be preserved. The official opening was long delayed, but it came in November last year, and Minister Malcolm Noonan took a wonderful interest in the work we had done and spent a while with us at that time and again more recently. And with him there is the chair of the Heritage Council and its CEO. As I mentioned, we get involved in publications usually with the support of others, including Offaly County Council, the Decade of Centenaries and Creative Ireland. And this was a beautiful reprint of Mary Ward's book, which was first issued in 1857, and it was extremely rare as only 250 copies were published. It's a very nice publication done locally in Ferban, and unfortunately it's now out of print. So we do recommend you to buy the books when they come out rather than putting it on the long finger. 2 new books that we still have in stock that were produced in 2021 were Rathrobbin, a collection of the photographs taken by Middleton Biddulph, and these are housed in the archive. And then our member Michael Goodbody produced an important work on the history of Clara by way of the diary of Lydia Goodbody and the historical work of Harold Goodbody. We also support from time to time the work of other people and publish it also. And here you have a sample of it in Maurice Egan's second book on Tullamore history. And to the right of that is our journal, Offaly Heritage 11. And we're now working, as I mentioned earlier, on number 12. So we're in a very nice location here in Tullamore Town Centre beside the Grand Canal, which was put through in 1798. It's an historical area in that at one time it provided the transport artery for the Midlands, and indeed had the bonded warehouse beside us, and also malting and grain bins, which you can see in that old photograph. So in short then, our services are summarised there. We want to thank in particular the CE, the Offaly County Council Heritage Officer, Offaly Libraries, the Heritage Council, Decade of Centenaries, Creative Ireland, Tullamore Camera Club, the Lions Club, and Tullamore Tribune, and indeed all our members and committee and directors. And I should also mention all our staff here who do a tremendous job in promoting our work. So I hope you've enjoyed the overview and that you will come and see us both at Offaly History Centre, Bury Quay, and at Offaly Archives. Thank you.